Hey, welcome to this course. My name is Happy and I am a software consultant and trainer with more than 13 years of experience. I have given and taken more than 100 interviews in my career. And here I am going to share the top 50 interview questions asked in OOPS and C Sharp. If you are already giving interviews, then you can easily recognize that these are some of the very important questions from interview perspective. We will cover similar 50 questions in this video. You can see the list of the topics and questions in the description box. So without wasting time, let's start. First, we are going to cover the main concepts in OOPS and C Sharp. We can see in diagram the main concepts of the OOPS, and here you can see all the questions related to the concepts of OOPS. Whether you have 0 years or 20 years of experience, these questions are very important and can't be missed in any condition. If any question is too easy for you, then you can just increase the playback speed of the video from setting options available at right bottom. The approx duration of all these questions is around 40 minutes. So let's start with the first question. Okay, so here is our question. What are the main concepts of OOPS? What are classes and objects? This is a very important and very basic question. Let's see the answer. Here are the main concepts of OOPS: objects, classes, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Whenever interviewer will ask the 4 pillars of OOPS, then they are inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation only. So in this question, we will only focus on classes and objects, and then other concepts we will cover in upcoming questions. So let's start with the classes. A class is a logical unit or blueprint that contains fields, methods, and properties. There are some class members. Let's see a code example of a simple class. See, here is a employee class we have. Now let's see what are the important members of this class. First is a constructor, which name is similar to the name of the class name. Okay. Now what is a constructor? Constructor is a method in the class which gets executed when a class object is created. Or in other words, whenever you will create object of this class, then the code inside this constructor will automatically execute. No need to call this constructor method explicitly. Second class member is a field, which is right now experience here. Now, what is a field? A field is a variable of any type. So basically we store the data in the field in our .NET applications. The next member of the class is property. What is property? A property is a member that provides help in read and write of the private field. Why we need property when we have field, and why we need property to access fields? This is because of encapsulation, and that we will cover in upcoming question. That the question will be what is encapsulation, we will discuss later. Now next important member of class is the method, which is right now calculate salary here. So what is method? A method is a code block that contains a series of statements. Or you can say that all the business logic of your application will be placed inside the methods only. Remember, properties and methods are same. When I say same, properties are special kind of methods, but they just do one thing, and that is getting and setting the fields only. That's why they are keep them separate from the normal methods. So this is the structure of a normal class in our application. Now the question is, how can we use this class in our application? We have a class. Okay, this is the blueprint. Now how we can use it? Because the class in itself is doing nothing. A class can only be used when you will create the object of this class. And that is like this. So here we are creating the object employee of the employee class. And then we are setting the property experience via the object. And then we are calling the calculate salary method via the object only. So What is an object? An object is an instance of a class. So if you want to use a class in your application, then you have to create its object. Now let's see the same thing in the code. So here is a small console application which have the same code. If you can see, this is the employee class, constructor, field, property, and the calculate salary method. Now we have just created the object of this class and have set the property and called the calculate salary method. If we will not create the object of this class like this, then this class is of no purpose. But we have to use this class, therefore we have created the object. And when this calculate salary method will run, it will just will give this output, experience into 300,000 or 3 lakhs. So experience is 3 here. So the output will be like this. Output will be 900,000. Okay. So this is the output. Now one important thing is this field and this property. Now you can write in a single line, which is like we can just prop and double tap, and then we can this experience. Okay. So now this single line of code is doing the same thing which a line of field and multiple line of properties were doing. So this is the short form which is nowadays, or you can say, should be used. So this is nothing else but the short form of this code. Okay, so let's see the definition once again. So a class is a logical unit or blueprint that contains fields, methods, and properties. And a object is an instance of a class. So that is the answer of this question. Let's see the another questions in upcoming videos. Okay, so here is our question. What is inheritance? Why inheritance is important? Let's start with the definition. Inheritance is creating a parent-child relationship between two classes, where child class will automatically get the properties and methods of the parent class. Let me show you the same thing in the code. Here we have a employee class, which is a parent class here. Remember, base class, parent class, and superclass are same things. Do not get confused by their names. Then we have this permanent employee class, which is a child class. Again, derived child and subclasses are same thing. Now notice that the permanent employee class do not have any method or property inside it. But still, when we will create the object of the permanent employee class inside the main method, then we will automatically get this property experience and this calculate salary method for it. So this calculate salary method is not present in the permanent employee class, but it will automatically get it from its parent, and that is what is inheritance is. Let me show you the same thing in the code. See, here is the console application. We have a small employee class and the same permanent employee class which is inherited from the employee class. Now we are creating the object of the permanent employee class. And see, if we will do this, so this experience and this calculate salary method are not present in permanent employee class, but that it is inheriting it from the parent employee class. Let's go back to the slide now. So this is what is inheritance. Now the next part is why inheritance is an important thing in softwares. The answer is because inheritance is good for reusability and abstraction of code. Let me give you an example. For example, if tomorrow you get a new type of employee, and that is contract employee, then you can derive from the same employee base class for getting these methods and properties, experience, and calculate salary. So you need not to write these method and properties inside here. So if you will not use inheritance, like if you will not create this base class employee, then you have to write these two, one property and one method inside both this contract employee and permanent employee class, and in both classes. So right now, just by writing at one place, you are using them in their derived class. So this is what is inheritance and its use. Now in upcoming videos, we will discuss more concepts of OOPs and more important interview questions. Here is our question. What are the different types of inheritance? This is a very important question. So let's explore the answer. First type is single inheritance. You can see this is the simplest one. Here we have one base class and only one derived class. So let's see the code also. So here we can see we have one base class 1 and this base class 1 is derived in this derived class 1. So this is the simplest type of inheritance, single inheritance. Second type of inheritance is multiple inheritance. In this case, we can have multiple base classes like base class 1 and base class 2 and have only one derived class. Remember, in C#, multiple inheritance can be achieved with the help of interfaces only, which means we can have only one base class and the other base class should be, or I can say must be, the interface. And there can be n number of interfaces. So let's see the code also. See, here we have this base class 2 and we have one interface I2. Now we have one derived class 2 which is inherited from this base class 2 and the I2 interface. So if I will replace, or if I will try to replace this I2 interface with some base class, then it is not possible and it will give an compile time error, because multiple inheritance is not possible in C# via the base classes. It's only possible via the interfaces. And here with I2, we can have I3, I4, any number of interfaces. So this is the second type of inheritance. Next type of inheritance is multi-level inheritance. Here we have one derived class, one base class, which is then derived into one derived class, and then this derived class 1 will again be inherited from this derived class 2. Let me show you the code, then it will be much clear. So see, we have this base class 3 as the base class, or you can say it is the grandparent, which is derived in the parent class, which is derived class 3. And then this is the child class, derived class 4, which is derived from the derived class 3. So it is basically, you can say that the grandparent, then parent, and then the child kind of relationship. And here the child, which is derived class 4, will get the properties and methods of both the parent base class 2 and the grandparent base class 3. So it will get the properties and methods of both of these above classes. Now the next type of the inheritance is the hierarchical inheritance. Now in case of hierarchical inheritance, we have one base class and we have multiple derived class, like this derived class 1, derived class 2 and derived class 3. This is the most used type of inheritance, because mostly in the application we have one base class and then we are deriving it in multiple derived class. Here is the code. It is pretty simple. We have one base class 4 and then this base class 4 is derived in derived class 5, and this base class 4 is again derived in derived class 6. So basically this is the last type of the inheritance, which is hierarchical inheritance. Just remind you again, base, parent and superclass are the same thing, and child, derived and subclasses are the same thing. I hope this illustration and diagram has cleared your concepts regarding the types of interfaces, types of inheritance. So now in next question, we will see some more things about the OOPs and C#. Here is our question. How to prevent a class from being inherited? So the answer is pretty simple. It is by using the sealed keyword with the class. Let me show you the code here. See, This is a simple console application where we have this employee class, and this is the derived class permanent employee, which is derived from the employee base class. Now, if I will mark this class as sealed, then here it is giving an error which is saying permanent employee cannot derive from the sealed type. So employee class cannot be a base class of any of the class because we have marked it as sealed. This is the one word answer of this question, but there are other ways by which we can avoid the inheritance of this class, and that is by using the static. So a static class also cannot be inherited in the derived class. But there is one problem with the static. We have to mark all these properties and methods static also. So the one answer is sealed keyword, and the second answer can be static, but then all members of the class should be static only. So this is the answer of this question. Here is a very good and very important question. What is abstraction? This is a very important concept of OOPS. Let's explore the answer here. Let's start with the definition. Abstraction means showing only required things and hiding the background details. What does it mean? For example, a car driver only knows about few things of the car, like steering, gear, and brake. But things like working of engine is hidden from him. But still he can drive the car, right? So this is a abstraction example. So let me show you some code example also. Here you can see a client code inside the main method. Here we are creating the object of the employee class, and then we are setting the property experience, and then we are calling the calculate salary method. Okay. Now, if you look at this employee class, then we have this property experience, which is okay. Then inside this calculate salary method, we have two more methods, calculate basic salary and calculate HRA. Now these methods are doing their job, but they are not visible to the client. When I say client, that is basically inside this main method I'm talking about. So inside this main method, you are not seeing these two methods, calculate basic salary and calculate HRA. So they are kind of hidden methods, or I can say background methods. So this is abstraction, hiding the background details. We can have some logic inside this calculate basic salary and calculate HRA, but we will not go into this. So why we need abstraction? So basically abstraction will make your program more secure, because the client will not able to see these internal methods, basic salary and HRA, and therefore he will not be here. These methods can't be manipulated in any way. So let me give you one more example here. So these are the background hidden methods. Now another example is a list collection. So if you have ever used a list collection in .NET framework, then you know how to add items in this list collection, and then how to iterate these items with the help of a for each loop. But do you know that internally this list collection is using IEnumerable and IEnumerator interfaces? If you know, it's good, but even if you don't know, then still you can use the list collection and loop through the items. So that is like hiding the things which are not required for the user to know. A user which is using the list collection need not to know about the IEnumerable and IEnumerator. So that is abstraction, hiding the background details. I hope it's clear now. Here is a very good question from OOPS. What is encapsulation? It is a very important concept of OOPS. As always, let's start with the definition. Encapsulation means wrapping of data and methods properties into a single unit, or we can say wrapping of data and function into a single unit. Why we included properties here? because properties are nothing else but special methods only. Why they are special methods? Because they just do one thing, and that is getting and setting private fields. Let's try to understand encapsulation with the help of code example. Here is an employee class which have a field emp experience, which is basically employee experience. Remember in C# when we say field, then it represents the data only. So all the data will be stored in the form of fields in the applications. Now this field cannot be accessed from outside this class without the property. Why it cannot be accessed? Because this field is private. So in order to access this field, we have created this public property emp experience. And inside this property, we are getting this field's emp experience and setting the value of the field. So that's how we will access this property outside of this class. Now you can see inside the main method, we are accessing the property, not the field. So if we will try to access this field directly, then it will give some compile time error. So via the property, we will set the value of the field. And why we are not directly accessing the field, rather we are accessing doing it by the property. So that is what is encapsulation, because this field or data is a very secure thing. It's a very sensitive thing of your application. It's the data. So we do not want any outside application or class to access this directly and to manipulate it. That's why we have created a wrapper over it, and that is the property. So inside the property, we are wrapping up the data. So this is because data and field are same and property as functions are same. So if we will again repeat the definition, it is basically wrapping of data, which is field, and methods, which is properties, into a single unit, and then we can access this data outside of this class. Now let me show how you can violate this encapsulation. For example, here we have the same employee class, and inside here we have this public field. See, this is public, so it can be accessed outside of this class. And here we do not have any property. And what we are doing in the main method, we are creating the object, which is obj employee, and then we are directly setting the value of this field. So basically, we are violating encapsulation. We are not wrapping the field inside the property and then accessing it, but we are trying to directly accessing it. So I hope you are clear now what is encapsulation. It is wrapping of data and methods into a single unit. So this is the answer of this question. Now, if you have any question or doubt, then please write your doubts in the comments. Before proceeding to next question, here is an announcement for you. If you are looking for a complete course on .NET interview, then here it is. This course contains 500 interview questions on topics OOPS, C#, .NET, MVC, Web API, and .NET Core. You will also get this ebook with this course, which will help you in revising the things really fast. If you want to try it, then the course link is given in the description. If not, then it is completely fine. You can continue with this course only, and I wish you all the best for your interview. So let's just continue with the next question. Here is our question. What is polymorphism and what are its types? This is again an important concept of OOPS. Let's start with the definition. Polymorphism is the ability of a variable, object, or function to take on multiple forms. Now, what is multiple forms? For example, in English, running word can be used for running a race or running a business. In both cases, the word running is same, but the meaning is different. So this is multiple forms. Multiple forms can be achieved in C# via polymorphism. Let's see the code example. Here you can see we have two functions with the same name add, but having multiple forms. How multiple forms? Because one is adding two integers and another one is adding two strings. So functions with same name but having multiple forms is the polymorphism. And this type of polymorphism is called method overloading. because we are overloading the method here. Now, if you will see in the client code, then I is the variable which is receiving the integer value and str is the variable which will receive the string value. So this type of polymorphism is what I said is method overloading. Now there are two types of polymorphism we have. One is compile time and another one is runtime. What is the difference between? So compile time is basically the overloading and runtime is overriding. Compile time means when you build your project in .NET, then .NET framework started converting your C# code into machine language and will create the DLLs, right? Then this duration of conversion is called compile time. So why it is called compile time? Why overloading is called compile time? Because at the compile time, your .NET frameworks knows that these two add methods are different. Their name is same, but they are different methods. They are doing different functionalities. So they know this thing at the compile time only. That's why overloading is compile time. And similar way, runtime is when you will run your program. So after building your program in the DLLs, it will run, right? It will execute and will show you the output. So that duration is runtime, and at that point of time, the overriding will be recognized. So we will see the overriding in detail in upcoming questions. I hope polymorphism and its types are clear now. If you have any query about this question, then please post your question in the comments section. Here is a very interesting question. What is method overloading? In how many ways a method can be overloaded? Let's start from the definition. Method overloading is a type of polymorphism in which we can create multiple methods of the same name in the same class, and all methods work in different ways. So this is method overloading. This is also called compile time polymorphism. Why? Because .NET compiler at the time of compiling or building the C# code to machine language knows that the method with the same name are different and will do different things. So in short, I will say .NET compiler will know that these two methods of same name are different. So that's why it is also called compile time polymorphism. Now the second part of the question is in how many ways a method can be overloaded. So let's try to understand this with the code example. Method overloading first can be done in three ways. Here is the code of that. See, we have three methods with the same name. We have four methods with the same name, and the name is add. And how they are different? There are first way of overloading is when the number of parameters are different in same name methods. See, in first and second methods, the names are same, but the number of parameters are different. In this method, there are two parameters, and in this second method, there are three parameters. So this is one way. Second way is when the type of the parameters are different. See, we have integer, integer, and integer. And in this third method, we have double, double, and integer. So the type of parameters are different. One have integers and second have double. So this is the second way of doing overloading. Then in the third way of overloading, the order of parameters are different. When I say order, see here we have double, double, and integer. And in the last method, we have double, integer, and double. So the order of the parameters are different. So these are the three ways in which methods can be overloaded. Let me show you the same thing in the code also. See, this is a console application, and here we have the same four methods add, 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 and here we will create the object of this method overloading class, and the name of the object is obj. Now when we will try to call the method, then we have this add method here, and when we will try to put the parameters here, then we will see that we have one of four ways of method overloaded available here. So one is two integers, another one is double integer, another is double integer double, and the fourth one is integer. So these four overloads of these add methods are present in this class. So that is method overloading. So now once again, let's see the definition. The definition is method overloading is a type of polymorphism in which we can create multiple methods of same name in the same class, and all methods work in different ways. I hope this concept is clear to you now. And if you have any queries about this question, then please post your queries in the comment section. Here is a very important question from interview point of view. What is the difference between overloading and overriding? 99% of the time, interviewer will not ask the definition of overloading and overriding, but he will ask the difference. Why? Because interviewer loves differences. Why? Because interviewer can check that knowledge of two concepts by one question. So that is the point here. We already discussed about the overloading concept in previous questions videos. So I am not going to explain that in detail here, but yes, we will see the definition. So method overloading is a type of polymorphism in which we can create multiple methods of same name in the same class, and all the method works in different ways. So that is method overloading. Now let's see what is method overriding in detail. Let's start with the definition of method overriding. Method overriding is having methods with the same name and same signature but in different classes. Let's see the code example of method overriding. See, here you can see we have one base class and we have one subclass which is derived from the base class. Now both these classes have this greetings methods, right? Now the name is same and the signature is also same. All right. So same method name, but one is in base class and another is in derived class. So as I said in the definition, the method name is same, but in case of overloading, the signature is different. But in case of overriding, the signature is also same. Here you can see the greeting methods have same number of parameters and same return type. So the signature is same. So this is one difference. Now, in case of overriding, when you will create the object of this subclass, then what will be the output? You will create the object of the subclass and will call the greetings method. So this will call the subclass of the this will call subclass greeting method because of overriding, and the output will be subclass saying hello, which is right here in the derived class. Okay, so this is overriding. So the next difference between method overloading and overriding is, in overloading there is no use of any such keywords, like there are no keywords, but in overriding we are using virtual keyword for the base class and override keyword for the derived class. You can see on the right for these virtual, which is present in the base class, and override, which is present in the derived class. So this is the second difference. Then the last difference between method overloading and overriding is overloading does not need inheritance. Why? Because it is in the same class. So two methods with the same name and different signature are present in the same class. But in case of overriding, you need inheritance. It is not possible in the same class. Like here you can see we have this base class and this subclass. These are two different classes and they are following the inheritance. So that is the requirement for overriding. Two different class, one should be base class and another should be derived class. But in overloading, that is not required. So this is the answer of this question. I hope the differences are clear to you. If you have any questions regarding this particular question, or any suggestions, then please write those questions in the comments and I will try to answer those. Here is a very interesting question. What is the difference between method overriding and method hiding? This is a advanced version of the overriding and overloading question. So basically we can say for less experience people, they will ask overriding and overloading differences, and for experience, for more experienced guys, they will ask overriding and hiding differences. So we already explained method overriding in previous video, but let's see the definition here. Method overriding is having methods with the same name and same signature, but in different classes, right? So this is method overriding. See the code here. Two methods, one is print and another one is also print. So they are of same name, but they are at different classes. One is in base class and another one is derived class. And one is marked as virtual and another one is marked as override. So this is the method overriding. Now, what is method hiding then? In method hiding, you can hide the implementation of the methods of the base class from the derived class using the new keyword. So this is method hiding. Let me also show you the code here. Here, if you see, we have again the same method name in the base class and in the derived class. The method name is print. This is present in the base class and the derived class also. So what is difference here is, here we have not marked the base class as virtual and no need to mark the derived class method as override. Rather, we will mark the derived class method as new keyword. So this new keyword will completely give a new meaning to this print method. That means now this print method has no connection or relation with the base class print method. In other words, in overriding, you are overriding the method. But in method hiding, you are completely redefining the method. They have no connection now. This is the answer to this question. And I hope it's clear to you that in overriding, we are just overriding the methods, but in some cases, we can use the base class method also. But in method hiding, by using the new keyword, we are giving a completely new definition to the derived class method. So there is no relation with the base class method. This is the answer to this question. If you have any queries about this question, then please post your question in the comment section and I will try to answer that also. Here is a very general question about OOPs. What are the advantages and limitations of OOPs? When we say what are the advantages of OOPs, that means we are asking about what are the advantages of the concepts of OOPs: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. What are their advantages? Let's see few of them. First advantage is reuse of code through inheritance. So by creating a single base class and multiple derived class from it, you can avoid code duplication and can reuse the base class code in multiple derived class. So this is one advantage of OOPs. Second advantage is flexibility through polymorphism. For example, same name methods can do different things. So this is flexibility, which overloading provides you. So you are free to choose the best overloaded method version as per your need. So that is the flexibility provided by the polymorphism. Next advantage is security of data through data hiding and encapsulation, meaning your fields and data are not accessible directly outside the class. Properties are there to create a wrapper over fields and make them secure. So that is the advantage provided by the encapsulation. Next advantage is, if you have proper implementing OOPs concept in your application, then your application is simple to upgrade from smaller to larger application. So in future, if new requirements or enhancements will come in your application, then it is quite easy to accommodate those changes in your application rather than recreating the application from the scratch. So that is one benefit of OOPs. Then next advantage is modularity. Modularity for easier troubleshooting. That means if you divide your application into separate classes, then you will easily identify that if any problem will occur, then in which class that problem is, and that the problem is easy to fix then, because your program or your application is divided into small applications. So these are some of the main advantages of the OOPS. Now the next part of the question is, what are the limitations of OOPS? In my experience, when you are working in a very small application, then do not try to apply all concepts of OOPS, because a OOPS implementation needs proper planning, and proper planning needs time. So if your application is really small, then why to take this overhead? Just go and create it in 2-3 days or a week. So I hope you are now clear about the advantages and disadvantages of the OOPS. So in the interview, you can simply tell 3-4 advantage, and a single disadvantage is enough to create a good impression. If you have any question on this question, then please post in the comment section and I will try to reply soon. Now we are going to cover the most important questions asked in interviews. Difference between abstract class and interface. This question is so important that I have split into 5 more questions. So here are the questions, and the approx duration of all these questions will be around 15 minutes. So let's start with the first question. Now we are going to cover the most important question of any interview. In my experience, this is the most asked question in the interviews. What is the difference between an abstract class and an interface? At least 4. Why 4? Because this is a very important question, and it is good to create a good impression on interviewer by telling as much as you can. So let's explore the answer. So the first difference is, abstract class contains both declaration and definition of the methods. Let me show you the example. See, employee class has 2 methods. One is project method and another one is role method. One is declared and role method is defined also. When I say defined, that means there is a body present with this method. So this is the abstract class, where declaration and definition, both kind of methods are present. On the other hand, interface contains only declaration of methods. Let me show you the code of this. See, here we have 2 methods, project and manager, and both are just declare. There is no body of these methods. Now there is one interesting point here. The latest version of C# allows you to define the body of the interface method also. That is possible, but seriously, I don't see any use of it. So better to say that in interfaces, one should only declare the methods, not should define the methods. Now let's come to the second difference. Second difference is quite obvious. Abstract class use abstract keyword. See here, the abstract keyword is there, and interface use interface keyword. See here in the code, interface keyword is there. So this is the second and the simplest difference. Next difference is, abstract class can contain methods, fields, constructor, and other class members also. So if you can see the code of the abstract class, then here you can see we have this constructor, and then here we have this field also. So similarly, we can have other class members in abstract class. Whereas in interface, it contains only methods only. There should not be any fields, any constructor, or any other class member. Only methods are allowed in the interfaces. So this is the third difference. Now, what is the fourth difference? Abstract class does not support multiple inheritance. This is a very important difference. And in case of interfaces, it supports multiple inheritance. Now, this is a very important difference, because that's why mostly we use interfaces, because multiple inheritance is allowed via interfaces, not via abstract classes. So let me show you the same in the Visual Studio Code now. See, here is a very simple console application code. Here we have this main method, this employee class, and this IEmployee interface, and this permanent employee class, which is derived from the employee class, which is an abstract class, and this IEmployee interface. Now, if I will create one more interface. For example, this employee 1, project 1, manager 1. And if I will try to inherit it, I employee 1. Okay. And obviously then I have to define both these methods, interface 1 and manager 1 here. So I will just copy paste these methods and I will write here project 1 and manager 1. So now you see there is no problem. You can inherit from multiple interfaces in IEmployee 1, 2, 3, 4. But abstract class should be only one. So if I will try to create one more abstract class like this, I will create 3, and then I will just do this, sorry, and then I will just create a method inside it like this, role 2. And if I will try to inherit from this abstract class, so is it possible? Let me see what is it saying. Class permanent employee cannot have multiple base classes. See, so you can also try to so this multiple base classes, multiple base abstract classes or classes are not possible, but multiple interfaces are possible. So this is one of the critical difference. So now let's go back to the question. So here are all the differences between abstract class and interface, and try to memorize all of them because they all are very important and they are higher chances that this question will be asked in the interview. If you have any question or any query about this question, then please post the same in the comment section and I will try to reply soon. Here is the extension of the question of the difference between abstract class and interfaces. We covered the difference in earlier videos and now we will cover this question, when to use interface and when to use abstract class. Let's explore it. Abstract class is a good choice when you are sure some methods are concrete and defined and must be implemented in the same way in all derived classes. So this is the definition I can say. So let me try to explain this with the help of an example. Here you can see you have an abstract class employee. So whenever an employee is hired in a company, then might be the project he is going to work is not fixed. So there may be multiple projects in the company, and at the time of hiring, it is not known that in which project the employee is going to be worked. But the role of the employee is very much clear from the day he joined. So he might be a software engineer, software tester, or accountant. So his role is defined, and that's why it is written, it is defined and concrete, and that's why it is present in the method body. So in such kind of scenarios where some methods are defined or concrete in the base classes, we need abstract class. So this is the use of the abstract class when we have to implement the abstract class in our application. Now, when we need the interfaces then, so an interface is a good choice when you know a method has to be there, but it can be implemented differently by independent derived classes. Again, I will show you the code and explain you so that you can better understand. See, here we have the IEmployee interface in which we have two methods which are declared. One is project and another one is manager. Now, as I said, an employee can join a company, but at that time of joining might be his project or his managers are still not assigned, because there are multiple projects in the company. So the project and the manager depends on project to project. So we know that an employee must have a project and a manager, but what will be that manager and what will be that project will be defined by the derived classes, not the base employee class. So this is the use of interface. We know that there is some contract, like we know an employee must have a project and a manager, but what will be the body of that manager, who will be the manager, that depend on the derived class. And same goes with manager also. Who will be the manager will be dependent on the derived class, which is basically the might be employee project class or some other class, but that is not yet defined. So these are the two scenarios where in one where some methods are concrete, we need abstract class, and where no method is concrete, all are just declared, we need interfaces. Normally we prefer interfaces because it gives us the flexibility to modify the behavior at later stage. So that's why mostly, because also the multiple inheritance scenario, if you remember, that is possible via interfaces. So that's why mostly, or I can say in 80% of times we use interfaces rather than abstract class. So I think I have answered this question well. Now, if you have any queries on this question, then please post in the comment section and I will try to reply soon. Here is a very good question on interfaces, and that is why to even create interfaces? Why to create them? This question can also be say like this: why to create interfaces and then just declare the methods inside them? Why not just make derived class and independent classes and just define the methods inside them and remove the interfaces? Why we are declaring the interfaces? They are not doing anything. By just declaring the methods, what is the purpose? So let's try to understand this with the help of a simple example. Suppose we have an IT company and there are many employees in it, right? So what we will declare an interfaces for the employee. Now every IT company has employees. So how to manage the employee? So we have declared one interface here. Why we have declared the interface now? Now we will see what's the reason. See, every employee has a salary and every employee has a project. Now I know some companies have bench system where there is no project is assigned to an employee, but we are not that considering that here. As per the company policy, this particular company policy, every employee must have the salary and every employee must have the project. So these two methods, set salary and set project, are mandatory for every employee. Now, suppose we have this one type of employee and that is permanent employee. This is one type of employee. So by inheriting from this IEmployee interface, we are making sure that this permanent employee class is following the company standards, because as per the company standards, these two methods, set salary and set project, must be implemented for every employee. And if you are using interface, then the methods which are declared inside the interface must be implemented in the derived class. That is the fact about the interface. The methods must be implemented in the derived class. So this is one purpose why we create interfaces, to implement and contract, to make a contract mandatory for the derived classes. For example, suppose you have a contract employee tomorrow. So by implementing just one interface, and that is IEmployee interface, you are making sure that again the set salary and the set project methods are going to be implemented. And similarly, if there is any another type of employee or 100 types of employee are there in the company, so just by implementing this IEmployee interfaces, they are making sure that company standards, maybe right now there are like two methods, set salary and set project, but might be there are 50 or 10 to 15 methods. And suppose if you are not using this interface, suppose, then might be a possibility that this set project method you will forget in your contract employee class. That can be a case, right? And that then it will be not as per the company standards, and then it will create a problem. There will not be any problem and compile time running, but when the results will be there, then there will be a problem. So in short, consistency will be maintained throughout the application for all type of employee classes here, and therefore the system or application can be easily managed. So that is why we need interfaces. That is the one reason. And the another reason is the multiple inheritance, which I already showed you in the earlier question. So this is the answer of this question. If you have any question or query about this question, then please post in the comment section and I will try to answer it soon. Here is a very short question about the interface, and that is, do interface can have constructor? The answer is no. Interface can only be derived from. There should not be any constructor inside the interface. The reason is why we need constructor. So basically, whenever we will create the object of any class, then the constructor will be called, right? But the you will never be create the instance of the interfaces. That is not possible. So that's why constructors are not required in interfaces. In fact, I will say other than methods, no constructors, no fields, or not any other things are required in the interfaces. Let me show you the same thing in Visual Studio Code. So here you can see a simple console application which have a main method, IEmployee interface, and this is the interface IEmployee which is inherited here, and there is a permanent employee class which inheriting it. So this abstract is not required here. Sorry, it's my mistake. Now we are trying to create a constructor. So CTOR this is, and then tab, this will create the constructor. So we have created this constructor, and now what is the error? Interfaces cannot contain instant constructors. So this is the compile time error. So this is the answer of this question. Any question, any query about this question, please post in the comment section and I will try to answer it soon. Here is a quick question. Can you create an instance of an abstract class or an interface? The answer is no. We cannot create an instance of, or we cannot create the object of abstract class and an interface. Let me show you the same in the Visual Studio. See, here is a simple console application. Here we have this employee abstract class and this IEmployee interface. Now let's try to create the object of the employee abstract class. So see, here it is giving the error, cannot create an instance of the abstract type interface type or interface employee. Okay, so this is the abstract type. Now if we will do the same with the interface, then also it will throw the same error, cannot create an instance of the abstract type or abstract interface. So that is, but there is one thing which can be noted here, then why we need the constructor inside the abstract class? When the object creation is not possible, then why this constructor is required? That can be a separate question, but I will answer this question here. So suppose this abstract class will be derived in some child class. Now when the object of that child class will be created, then this abstract class constructor will be called. So both the constructors will be called, the abstract class which is the base class constructor and the derived class constructor, both will be called when the child class object is created. So this is the answer of this question. There is no chance of instance creation of the abstract class and interface. If you have any question about or any query, then please post in the comments and I will try to answer it soon. Now we will see some general questions about OOPS and C#. They are not related, but they are important from interview perspective. The questions are from like boxing and unboxing, nullable types, etc, etc. If at any point you think any question is too easy for you, then you can just increase the playback speed of the video. The approx duration of all these questions is around 20 minutes. So let's start with the first question. Here is a basic question about C#. What are access specifiers? What is the default access modifier in a class? So access specifier and access modifier are the same thing. Now here is the simplest definition which is easy to remember and easy to speak in the front of the interviewer. Access specifiers are keywords to specify the accessibility of a class, method, property, and field. So it basically defines the accessibility of the class, method, property, and fields. The keywords are public, private, protected, internal, and protected internal. Out of these, first three are very important. Then internal and protected internal are related to the assemblies. Let me show you in this table. So here is a table that tells where these keywords are accessible and where not. For example, public is accessible at every level. It is accessible in the same class. For example, if it is a method and if it's a public method, then this method is available in the same class inside the derived class of the base class. Like if the method is present in the base class, then this public method is also accessible in the derived class of that base class. Okay. In other codes also it is accessible, and even it is accessible in another assembly. Now, just a note here, an assembly can have multiple classes. So this public method will be available in other assemblies also, and in the derived classes of the assembly. So again, for example, if you have one assembly and inside that there is a class A, and there is another assembly and inside that there is a class B. Now this class B is derived from the class A, but they are in two different assemblies. So this last case, sorry, this second last case inside the derived class, but that is in another assembly, is the same case. Okay. So this is about the public access specifier, which is accessible at every level. The next one is private. Now private is accessible or available within the same class and nowhere else, right? All like inside derived class it's not accessible, other code, other assembly, derived class of assembly, it is not accessible. Then we have this internal case. Now internal, if you will put a method internal, then it will be accessible within the same class, within the derived class, other code also, but it will not be accessible inside any other assembly. So last two cases are for the other assembly. So this internal will not be accessible in any other assembly. It will be accessible inside the same assembly only. Then we have this protected. Protected is accessible in the same class and it is accessible in the child or derived class also, but it will not be accessible anywhere else. Even the derived class is in the another assembly, still this protected method will be accessible over there. So that is also not a problem, but otherwise it will not. Then we have this last one is this protected internal. Now protected internal is accessible within all the classes of the same assembly. So this first three are in the same assembly and protected internal accessible here, but it will be only accessible in the derived class of the second assembly, which I will say another assembly. So these are all the access specifiers uh, out of like a public, and out of these public, private and protected, as I said, are very important and frequently used. Internal and protected internal are related to assembly, so they are not so frequently used, but yes, it's good to know them. Now the next part of the question is, what is the default access modifier in a class? Do not get confused again, access specifier and access modifier are same things. So here in the code, like there is the class, right? We have written the class here, but we have missed the access specifier right here. So what will be the default access specifier which .NET framework will apply here? And the answer is internal. Internal is the default access specifier or modifier of a class. So that is the answer of this question. I hope you understand it. And if you have any queries regarding this question, then please let me know in the comment section. Now here is a very important question from interview perspective. What is boxing and unboxing? Let's start with the definition of boxing. Boxing is the process of converting from value type to reference type. What is value type and reference type? In C#, integer, bool, character, decimal, byte. These are value types. And string, array, class, object. These are reference types. Now, let's coming back to the boxing. So boxing is converting from value type to reference type. Let's try to understand with the help of the code. So here we have an integer num. Now integer is a value type. Then we are assigning this num to an object, right? Which is obj, and object is the reference type. So we are converting a value type num to the reference type obj. So this is boxing. So it's a very simple converting from value type to reference type. Num is value type, obj is reference type, and we are converting it, so it is boxing. Now what is unboxing? Unboxing is the reverse process. It is the process of converting reference type to value type. So in boxing, we are converting value type to reference type, and in unboxing, we are converting reference type to value type. Now how? See the code here. So now obj is reference type, we know. Now we are converting this obj back into the integer, and integer is a value type and obj is the reference type. So converting this reference type to value type is called unboxing. So this is quite simple, and like one unboxing is the value type to reference type, and unboxing is the reverse of that. Now one very important thing interviewer asked is, which one of them is an explicit process? The answer is unboxing is the explicit conversion. Why it is? Because we have to mention the type in case of unboxing. Like here we have mentioned it as int here, right? So we are mentioning the type, so it's a explicit process, as explicit conversion. In case of boxing, we are not setting any type here, or we are not giving the name of the type here, so that's why it is not explicit, it is just implicit. So I hope now boxing and unboxing are clear to you, and you can easily crack this question in the interview. If you have any question, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is a very good question about a string. What is the difference between a string and a string builder? When to use what? Let's see what you have to answer to the interviewer. A string is immutable in C#. This is a one-word answer. Now, what does it mean? It means if you define one string, then you could not modify it. Every time you will assign some new value to it, then it will create a new string. Now, let me show you and let me prove this thing to you in the code. Here we have one string str1, and then we are manipulating the str1 by adding some extra string to it, right? So we have this str1 and then we are modifying this str1 here. But here is the catch. The value will be changed. But first string str1 is a different string, and then this new str1 is a completely different string in the memory. So in short, both these strings are different and occupy different memory in process. Or I will say, by looking at it, you will be thinking that these are the same string. str1 interviews same, and this new str1 which will be interview happy will be same. But no, these are different because strings are immutable. Once you assigned a value to a string, then if you will try to modify it, then it will create the new string. So that is immutable, and that is what is a string is. Now let's see what is a string builder then. String builder is mutable, so that is basically opposite of a string. So what does that mean? This means that if any manipulation will be done on a string, then it will not create a new instance every time. So exactly opposite of the string. Now let me show you the code also. See, here we have this str2, which is a object of the string builder class. Now if I will append any values in str2, then in the memory no new string is created. Rather, the same str2 string will remain there at the same location or address, and only the values will be updated from, like, initially it will be interview1, then interview1 happy1. So whatever operation you want to do with this str2, the reference will be same but value will be updated. Now the thing is, both these strings will remain in memory, as I said. So this is the difference between string and string builder. Now the question is, when to use what? So the simple answer is, if you want to change a string multiple times, then string builder is a better option from performance point of view, because it will not require new memory every time. So for example, if you have a string str1 and then you are manipulating it like 10, 15, 20 times, then it is creating every time a new object, or that will definitely impact the performance. Rather go with the string builder, which will refer to the same object and will just append the new values for the string builder. So that is the answer of this question. If you have any thoughts or questions about this particular question, then please let me know in the comment section. This is a question which is not so important but good to know. What are the basic string operations in C Sharp? Let's go through some of them quickly. First one is concatenate. So what it do? It will add two strings and it will show you the result and the output like this. So two strings can be concatenated either by using this concat method or by using this plus operator. So here we have this string 1, string 2, and then in string 2 again we are adding string 1 plus string 2, which will give this output. This is 1, which is string 1, and this is 2, which is string 2. So this is concatenate method of the string class. Next important method of the string class is replace. Now what this replace will do, for example, if you have this string 1, this is 1, and if you have this string 2, you are creating by replacing this 1 with 2. So this will just replace this 1 with 2. So the output will be this is 2. This is the purpose of the replace method. Another important function of a string is trim. Trim is used to trim the white spaces in a string at the end. Now, if you see the example here, suppose we have a string 1, this is 1, and there is some white space at the end. So if you apply this trim method, then this will remove the white space from the end. So this is the purpose of the trim method. Now the last one is contains. Contains, if a string, basically it checks if a string contains a pattern of substring or not. Meaning this method will return boolean value either true or false, whether it is true or not. So suppose this is a string, this is a test, and now this string contain method will check that whether this word test is present in this statement or not. If it is present, it will return true. If it is not present, it will return false. In our particular case, it is true because test is present in this statement. So it will go inside and the output will be the test was found. So that's all about the some of the important string methods. If you have any query about this question, then please let me know and ask me in the comment section, and I will try to reply as soon as possible. Here is a short and simple question. What are nullable types? Let's see the definition. To hold the null values, we have to use nullable types. So it's short and simple, to hold the null values, because variable types does not hold null values. Let me show you the code also. So see, here we have tried to store the null value in a normal integer variable, but then it is giving an compile time error. So in order to store this null value, we have to use this nullable type. Okay, and then we will be able to store the null values. This is one way, and this is the second way of uh, storing the values in the nullable. So basically, wherever you have seen this question mark, it is nothing else but in order to store the null values, this question mark has been used. Now let me show you the same thing in the code also. So here is all our code. It is showing error here, cannot convert null to int because it is a non-nullable value type. And here it is not giving. In these two cases, there is no error will be there. And this is the way which we mostly used in our application to store the null values. And these are nullable types. So this is the answer of this question. If you have any question, then let me know in the comment section. Here is a very important question in C Sharp. This is a very important question and asked in many interviews. So let's have a look at this question. Explain generics in C Sharp. When and why to use them? So let's know what are the generics and what problem they solve. Generics allows us to make classes and methods type independent, or we can say type safe. Now what is this type independent? Let me show you the code example. Here you can see we have this calculator class right here, and this calculator class has one static method which is r=. It is doing nothing but it is comparing these integer values and then returning the bool value as based on the comparison. So here it will receive the comparison, and if this is a static method, that's why it is called directly from the class only. So if this is true, then it will print true, and if the comparison is false, then it will return false. So in this case, if we will try to compare the integers, then it will work because here it is strongly typed to integer. But if we will try to compare the strings with this r= method, then it will not work. So that's how it has some limitations. Now what we want, that this method should also be able to compare the strings also. So for this there is one approach which so as I said, this r=, the first one will work, but the second one, comparing the strings, will not work. So one solution for it is to use the object instead of integers. This is one way to compare it, and it will work for both for integers and strings. But there is one problem with it, and the problem is that it involves boxing, because this method will convert the integer type to object, or whether it is integer to object or string to object. So that requires boxing because it is converting a value type to a reference type, and that will impact the performance. So that is not good. So now let's see in the code, in the Visual Studio Code, that what is this problem and how we will solve it through generics. Let me show you the code. So this is the code, and as I said that this will not work and it will give an error, cannot convert from string to int. So we have generics to resolve it. Generics can be applied on methods or can on class only. So let's try to make this method generic first. So first of all, we will put t here in this method, and then we will do like this. So basically we are making this r= methods as generic. So now you can see the error has been removed, and this program will now give this string value. So let me show you the output. The output will basically the equal space string equal. So basically it should be true and then false. So see, we have this true because 4 is equal to 4, and false because interview is not equal to happy. So that's why false. So this is how we will make our methods generic. That is one way, but the another and the more popular way is to make the class generic. When you are making the class generic, and that you will do by putting this t here, and now your class is generic. And how you will use your class like this. Sorry, this is integer and this is string comparison. So see, now your class is generic, and when you are making your class generic, then all the method inside the class will be generic. So that is the additional benefit of generic class as comparison to the generic method. So now again we will see what will be the output, and output will be the same. See, it is true and false. So that's how generic works. It basically, the strongly typed thing are now loosely typed, and it is your method is now type independent, which is the main purpose of the generic. So if you have any question on this question, then you can ask me in the comment box and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. So let's just one more time see the definition. So generics allows us to make classes and methods type independent or type safe. That is the purpose. There is one thing without which programming is incomplete, and that is exception handling. So now we will cover some questions from exception handling in C#. The approx duration of all these questions is around 12 minutes. So let's start with the first question. Here is a very good and very common question which is asked in many interviews. How to implement exception handling in C#. Like other questions, I will share the simplest answer of this question. Exception handling in object-oriented programming is used to manage the errors. Let me show you the code also. Here you can see we have these four main keywords: try, catch, throw, and finally. So these are the keywords through which we do exception handling in C#. Let's explore them one by one. First one is try. A try is a block of code inside which any error can occur. Here in the code you can see we are forcefully trying to throw an error by dividing 0 by 0. This will definitely throw an error. Now what will happen? An error will occur and it will go to the catch block. So that is catch block. Now what is the definition of catch? When any error will occur in try block, then it is passed to catch block to handle it. So when I say handle, what does it mean? Suppose a user is using your application and some error will occur. Then that error can be logged in the log files inside the catch block, and later developer can see that log files and can fix that error. So that is the purpose of the error logging or exception handling in C#. Now in a program, there can be some code which you want or a developer want to execute whether any error will occur or not. So for that we have this finally block. The finally block is used to execute a given set of statement whether an exception is thrown or not thrown. So this console.writeLine finally called will be definitely executed whether some error will occur in this try block or not. And after this, the last thing is throw. Inside the catch block, you can see a throw keyword like this, right? Now, what is this throw? This throw keyword will pass the stack trace to one level up. Now, what does it mean? We will discuss this in detail in an upcoming question because this will be a separate topic. So let me show you what we have done until now in the code also. See, here is the code. We are trying to divide 0 by 0, which will throw an error. So this will execute and then finally will also execute. So let me show you this. See, the first line catch called attempted to divide by 0. This is the exception message. And the finally is also called. Now let me show you without if there is no error. So suppose we will try to divide 1 by 1. So this is possible and this will not throw an error. So let's see the output. See, this is the output. In the statement inside the catch block has not been executed and only the finally is executed, because finally will execute whether error will occur or not. So this is the answer of this question. I hope you understand it all. So if you have any question about this question, then please let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. This is the next question from exception handling topic. Can we execute multiple catch blocks? The answer is no. We can write multiple catch blocks, but only one out of them will execute. So remember, only one will execute. Let me show you the code. Here you can see we have two catch blocks. Here is one and another is this one. So now this is a kind of arithmetic exception which will occur here. So it will go inside this catch block. So it will not go inside the another catch block. So in any case, only one type of exception will occur, and that will go inside only one catch blocks. So you can ask why we have written multiple catch blocks here. That can be another question. The reason is, might be you want to handle different errors in different ways. For example, suppose you don't want to show or log any error if any arithmetic exception will occur. Then you can just keep this catch block as blank and it will do nothing and will just continue the program. So that is the purpose of the multiple catch blocks. I hope you got the answer. If you have any query, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. This is a very simple but important question. What is a finally block, and give an example when to use it? The answer is, finally block will be executed irrespective of the exception, meaning whether any error or exception will occur or not, the finally block will definitely execute. Let me show you the same thing in code, and I will also show you the real-time use of the finally block. For example, you are working with a database connection to do some operation in the database in your application. Now for this, you will open this connection like this by this con.open method. Now due to any reason, some error will occur here when user is executing the application. Then what will happen? This con.close will not execute, right? So how you will make sure that this con.close method should execute? Because if you have opened the connection, then you must close it whether any error will occur or not. So in that particular case, you will use this finally block and you will write this con.close method inside this finally block. So even though if there is any error will occur, but this finally block will definitely execute. And even if there is no error, even then it will execute. So it will make sure that your connection will be closed whether any exception will occur or not. So that is the answer of this question. I hope the answer is a real world example and it is clear to you now. If you have any queries about this question, then please let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer it. Here is the question. Can we have only try block without catch block? Is it possible? The answer is yes. We can have only try block without catch block, but we have to have finally block then. Let's see the code. See, in this code, we do not have any catch block here. But what is the need of this try and finally together? In which case we need this try and finally? So there is one case I am explaining you here. So for example, in this try block, if the code goes inside this if condition, and then inside here we have this return statement. That means that this code will return from here and after this nothing will get executed. So to make sure that this con.close or any such line will execute which are mandatory to execute, we have to put them inside the finally block. Now you can return from anywhere inside the method, but the finally will make sure that such mandatory statements must execute inside the finally block. So that is the simple and quick answer of this question. If you have any queries about this question, any confusion, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is a very good question from interview perspective. What is the difference between throw X and throw? Let's see the difference first. Throw X will change the stack trace, whereas throw will preserve the whole stack trace. Now let's try to understand with the help of the code. See, here in the code we have used throw. Now what we are doing here, inside the method we are calling a method divide 0 by 0. Now inside this method divide 0 by 0, we are trying to divide 0 by 0 at this line, and this line number is 24. Now when we are using throw, what will it will do is it will throw the error to the upper level, and then the error will be received here inside this catch block. Now here this ex.stackTrace will print the error which is thrown by this keyword. So what will be the error we will see? So we will see this error in the output, because we are printing the output with the help of this console write line. Okay, and we are printing the exception dot stack trace, and the stack trace will be okay. We are getting the error at 24, which is very much correct, because we are getting the error at this position only, and this line 13. So 13 is basically divided by 0, so that also will be logged by the exception. So now this is about the throw keyword. Now what will happen in case of throw x? So this is the same code, just we have replaced this throw with the throw x, right? Now we will see that what will be the output in this case. What, sorry, uh, what will this ex dot stack trace will print? So it will print this message. Now if you see, it is showing that the error has occurred at the line number 27. See, the actual position of the error is 24, but this throw x is saying that it is happening at this position, which is not correct. And as per the definition also, throw x will change the stack trace, because it has changed the stack trace. It is not the actual stack trace. So that is incorrect. So that's why it is a best practice to use throw only, as it preserves the whole stack trace. So now let me show you the same thing in the code also. See, here is the code, and the same method is here inside the main method. We have divide by 0, and then here at the line 24 there is a problem, and the error line it is. So now we will execute with throw keyword first. So the result will be like, see, it is saying that the line error is at the line 24, which is the actual and correct stack trace. And now we will check with throw x. So now I have converted throw to throw x, and even .NET compiler will say that rethrowing count exception changes stack information. So it is also giving you a warning. So let's execute this and let's see what it will say. So at this time the output says that the problem is at line number 27, which is this line, but this is not the correct. So rather always use throw, do not use throw x. So this is the answer of this question. If you have any query about this question, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Now we will cover some questions from loops and collections in OOPS and C#. This is a very good topic, as frequently we need to get data from the database and then we have to iterate or manage it. So here is the list of the questions which we will cover. The approx duration of all these questions will be around 20 minutes. So let's start with the first question. This is a simple question, but interviewer may ask you if you have 0 to 2 years of experience. So the question is, what are the loop types in C#? Let's quickly go through it. First one is while loop. Here is the code block. So in while loop, we have this while keyword, and how it process. It will first initialize the variable, and then it will set the condition for the variable, and then it will increment the variable one by one. So that is the while loop, and the output we will expect is like it will print from here. First it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and until 5, because it is less than 5. So at 4 this loop will stop and it will come out here. So this is the simplest one, the while loop. Now the second loop is do while loop, and here is the code of the do while loop. The only difference between while and do while is the statement is inside this do must execute first time, irrespective of this while condition. whether it is true or not, whether it is true or false, this statement inside do will execute at least one time. So if you will see the output, so as I said, the same has been mentioned here, the statement executes at least one time, irrespective of while loop. And the output will be like this, do while 100. So this has been executed. Even though this j value is 100 and 100 is not lesser than 10. So even though the first condition is false, still the statement inside the do has been executed one time. So this is the do while loop, and the rest of thing like initialization will be happen at the top, then the condition will be here, and the increment will be inside the loop. So all these are same as of while loop. Next we have is for loop. In for loop, this is the way we write the for loop, and in this, initialization, condition, increment all will happen along with the for keyword only. So in while loop, all these were happening at different position, but here at one place only. So the advantage of for loop over while loop is the number of lines of code are lesser in for loop. So here is the expected output. I think you know the output. It will print from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is quite expected. The next type of loop, and which is very important and very much used in .NET, is the for each loop. See the code here. So this is one of the most used loop in C#, and mostly it is used to iterate the collections like array, ArrayList, list, hashtable. All these are iterated by this for loop, for each loop only. Now in this loop there is one benefit, that there is no initialization, no condition, and no increment is required as it required in for loop. So this is the advantage of this for each loop. Now this is the output, and it is very much expected. This 10, 20, 30, 40 will be the printed in the output. So this will be the result of the for each loop. I hope the main loops in C# are clear to you now. If you have any queries about this question or the loops, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to reply soon. Here is a very good question we have. What is the difference between continue and break statement? Let's first see continue statement. Continue statement is used to skip the remaining statement inside the loop and transfers the control back to the beginning of the loop. Again, as I always explain by the help of the example, let's see the code. See, when loop will start from the 0, then it will start printing the value from here, okay? But when the I will be equal to 3, then it will go inside this if condition and will see the continue keyword. Now, from here, it will not execute further, but will go back to the starting of the for loop. And then it will set the I value equal to 4, and then will come inside, and then I will not be equal to 3 then, because I equal to 4, and then it will print the 4 here. So this will be the output. So see, 0, 1, 2 and 4. So 3 is missed because at 3 we have this continue, which do not allow the statement to execute further, rather it will send it back to the starting of the loop. So that is the continue statement. Now let me show you the break statement now. So first let me explain the break definition. So break statement breaks the loop. It's that simple. It makes the control of the program to exit the loop. Okay. So now let's see the same code here. This is the same code. The only thing is, instead of continue, we have break now. Now this time when I equal to 3, then it will go inside here and it will see this break statement. And now what break will do, it will not execute, let the program to execute further, but it will break the application out of the loop. So it will not go to the starting of the loop, which continue was doing, but it will rather bring out of the loop. So the output this time will be print 0, 1 and 2 because at 3 the loop was breaked, and so 3 and 4 are not printed. So this is break. So now let me show you the same thing in the Visual Studio Code also. See, here is the continue. First we are trying and I put a breakpoint here. Let me run this program. Now here is the break statement. Now I will continue it. It will go to the starting of the for loop and then it will come here and it will see 4 and then it will execute the expected output, which is 0, 1, 2, 4. Now let's see the break. So what break will do? So we will run the program. See, right now the breakpoint is at the break line and then I will F10 it and it will suddenly go out of the loop. So rest of the statements and will not be executed. So 0, 1, 2, no 3 and no 4. So this is the continue and break differences. If you have any questions about this particular question, then let me know and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is a good question from beginner point of view. What is the difference between array and array list? At least two. Why two? Because sometimes candidates think that giving one difference is enough, but please make sure for basic interview questions you have to give as much as differences as you can. So let's see the differences with the help of code here. So here is the code of the array. We are doing nothing but just declaring the array, assigning the array and then assigning the items to the arrays. Okay, so this is a simple array. And now same thing we are doing with the array list. We are declaring the array, we are creating the object of the array, and then we are adding items in the array list. So that is the two codes. Now see what are the differences. First thing is array is strongly typed. This means that an array can store only specific type of items or elements. So if you see here, we are having only the type of integer in this array. So like in the last line, I have tried to add an integer to this array. So this line has showing that this is a compile time error and it will not allow to add a string to the integer type array. So this is about array. So what is array list? Array list can store any type of item elements. So here you can see we can add an integer and we can also add an string to the array list. So this is the first and very basic difference. Now the next difference is array can contain fixed number of items. See here we have to give the number of items in array in advance. Here it is 10. If we will not give the number here, then it will show an compile time error. So you have to give the number in advance for the array, that how many items you are going to add in the array. But on the other hand, in case of array list, you can store any number of items. So there is no count of items you have to maintain or you have to give anywhere in this array list. So this is the second difference, and I hope these two differences are enough and good, and you know that when you have to use the array and when you have to use the array list. So mostly we use array list because that is more flexible as comparison to the array. So if you have any queries and about this question, then let me know in the comment section. Here is a very good question from collections. What is the difference between array list and hash table? I will tell you the difference with the help of the code. Trust me, no one can explain like this. See, this is the code of the array list. We have created an object of an array list and then we are adding items in it. First is an integer and second we are adding an string. Now, in array list, we can only add items or values to the list. So these are the items 7, 8, 9, 6 and happy is the items, or you can say values. Now let's see the code of the hash table. So this is the code of the hash table where we have created a hash table and then we are adding the values to the hash table. Now, if you notice that we have two things to add. One is the value, sorry, one is the key and another one is the value. So in hash table, we can add item values with the keys. So this is an advanced version of ArrayList. So when you want to retrieve the values from the hash table, then you can directly use the keys rather than iterating the loop as you will do that in the ArrayList. So this is the difference. In ArrayList, we have only items and in hash table, we have keys and items. So I hope you liked the answer and you understand what's the difference between in these two collections. Now here is a very generic question asked in C#. What are collections in C# and what are their types? Let's see the definition first. C# collections are designed to store, manage and manipulate similar data more efficiently. For example, array list, dictionary, list, hash table, all these are collections. And these are used to manipulate the similar data. So if you have a list of, for example, array list, then you might want to do some operations in it. You might want to add items, remove items. So this will be enabled by collections only. Now let's see what are the types of collections we have in .NET. So here in this diagram, we can see we have three types of collections in .NET. First one is normal collection. It is basically system. These normal collections are available under system.collections namespace. Now, what are these normal collections? Array list, hash table, queue, and stack. All are these are normal collections. Second one is generic collections, and these are available under system.collections.generic namespace. Now, what are these generic collections? So this is the generic version of the normal collections only. So if you know what is generic, then I think you pretty much aware that it will be making your method and class type independent. So the same way they will make your collection type independent. I have already explained generic in my previous videos. So you can visit that video to explain if you are not aware about generics. Now, these are the generic collections: dictionary, list, queue, sorted list, and stack. Now, what is happening here is basically list is the generic version of array list only. So if you can see, we have only this generic version of array list. Similarly, dictionary is the generic version of hash table. In dictionary also we have this key and value, and in hash table also we have that same mapping key and value. Similarly goes for this queue, which is generic version of queue, and stack, which is generic version of this stack. So this is about the generic collections. Now there is a third type of collection, which is concurrent collection, and it is used for in multi-threading application. So why? Because these are the thread safe collections in C#. Again, for this you have to understand what is multi-threading and how multi-threading works in the applications. And if you are using multi-threading in your application, then these collections can helpful for you. I will not go in the detail of all these collections, then otherwise it will be very time taking then, and it is not so important from interview point of view. So knowing that when we have to use this collection, we have normal collection, we have generic collection, and we have concurrent collection. So we know now when we have to use them. So that is, I think, enough from interview point of view. But if you want the things in detail, then please let me know in the comment section and I will try to cover these collection in detail. This is a very important question from interview perspective, and the question is, what is IEnumerable in C#? Let's explore it. IEnumerable interface is used when we want to iterate among our collection classes using a for each loop. So this is the definition and the use of IEnumerable interface. Let me explain this. For example, this is the code. In this code, there is a list of employees right here. Okay. And then you are adding new employee in this list, right? So we have this employee class here, and we are adding this employee into this employees list. Okay. So now we have ready a employees list. Now we want to iterate this employees list one by one. Now how this loop is working, how we are able to loop through this employees, that is because of IEnumerable interface only, because internally list is going to use IEnumerable only. Let me show you the same thing in the Visual Studio. So here you can see the same code. We are having a list employee of employee, and we inside here we have added new employees in it. Now if I will run it, it will print all the employees with their employee ID and employee name. See here in the output screen, we have two names available, two employees with employee ID 1 and 2 and name Bill and Steve, which is right. Now the question is how this for each loop is working on this employees. That is because of IEnumerable interface. So if I will go to the definition of this list, so see here we have this list which is provided by the .NET framework, and then here we have this IEnumerable interface. One is the generic version of IEnumerable interface and second is the IEnumerable. So basically list is only implementing this IEnumerable interface, and because of an IEnumerable interface, that for each loop is working, right? And here you can see that we have this limb. Now what is inside this IEnumerable interface? If we will see, this is the definition. If you see, exposes an enumerator which supports a simple iteration over a non-generic collection. So this is non-generic version. If I have T here, then it will be generic version. And what it will do is implement this getEnumerator method of IEnumerator interface. So that is the long answer, but the short answer is IEnumerable helps in iteration of a list collection or any kind of collection, because like dictionary also is a collection which IEnumerable supports. So this is the answer of this question. If you have any query about this question, then please let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer this as soon as possible. Now here we have one more question about IEnumerable. What is the difference between IEnumerable and IEnumerator in C#? I will not go very deep about this as it will be very time taking. Rather, I will give the important information which is enough for telling to the interviewer. So let's see the code first, and this is the same code I have used to explain the IEnumerable interface in previous video. Now here, if you can see, we have this list collection. Now how this list collection is working, because it is internally, how this for each loop is working on this list collection of employees, because internally this is using IEnumerable interface, and similarly IEnumerable will use IEnumerator internally. So IEnumerator is like a part of IEnumerable interface only. Suppose you don't want to use .NET framework list collection and you want to create your own custom list collection, means your custom collection, then you have to explicitly implement first the IEnumerable interface, and then you have to write the code for implementing the IEnumerator interface for iterating the loop. So see, in this diagram you can relate with. So at the top we have this IList collection, and then we have this I collection inside it, and then we have this IEnumerable connection, which is then using this getEnumerator method of IEnumerator interface. So for simplicity, you can just tell the interviewer that IEnumerable is like a box that contains IEnumerator functionality inside it. So that is the answer. Let me show you the same thing in Visual Studio, that where is the IEnumerator. So this is the code, this is the list collection, and we are adding some employees in the list collection. Let me show you what is inside this list collection. and we have this IEnumerable interface. And inside this IEnumerable interface, if I will go, sorry, yeah. So inside this, so what it is doing, this is returning a type of IEnumerator interface, which is this get enumerator method it is. So it's like IList, IEnumerable, and then it is using it is returning the type of IEnumerator interface. So that is what is IEnumerable and IEnumerator interfaces. I hope you understand it now. And if you have any queries about this question, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer as soon as possible. This is again a very important question and can be asked to candidates who have slightly higher experience. So the question is, what is the difference between IEnumerable and IQueryable in C#? Why to use IQueryable in SQL queries? We have already saw the IEnumerable earlier. Now we will more focus on IQueryable in this video. So what is the definition? IQueryable is also like IEnumerable and is used to iterate SQL query collection from data. So when you are returning data from SQL connection, then we prefer IQueryable rather than IEnumerable. See, here is the code which is used for it's a sample code where we have used this IQueryable interface, which will bring this employee kind of list when we will execute this query. So where employee department is equal to IT, then that will filtered result will be saved in this list. So this is the code. Now the question is, why we prefer IQueryable in SQL queries? Why can't use IEnumerable, and why to introduce a new concept? See, here we have this diagram, and we can see that we are having this IEnumerable and IQueryable here. First, we will talk about IEnumerable. If you use IEnumerable, then request will go to the database and bring the whole data from the database and then filter the result here at the client side, or I will say at the code side, not at the database level. So this is the thing. So bringing up whole data from the network will impact the performance, because you are bringing the whole employee data and then you are filtering it at this place at server side, which is not good for the performance point of view. On the other hand, in case of IQueryable, it will go to the database and then it will filter the data there only. It will not bring the whole data back to the server side or client side at the code side. It will just filter the data and then data will be less, and only the required data after the filtration will pass from the network to the server side. So in that manner, network load will be less in case we will use IQueryable. So that is the reason IQueryable is better than IEnumerable for SQL queries. I hope you got it now. What is the difference? And you can easily explain the same in the front of the interviewer also. So if you have any queries about this question, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to reply it soon. Now we will cover questions from methods and delegates in OOPS and C#. Why I have combined methods and delegates? Because delegates depends on methods only. These are the questions which we will cover. The approx durations of all these questions will be around 40 minutes. So let's start with the first question. Here is a very good question about method parameters. What is the difference between out and ref parameters? First thing is, what are out and ref parameters? The answer is, by using ref and out keywords, we can pass parameter by reference. And or we can say, when you want to return more than one values from a method, then you can use out and ref parameters. So first is the definition and second is the use of the out and ref parameters. So let's see what is the definition, what is the parameters by reference. Let's try to understand this first. Here you can see we have a class without ref out, which is not using ref and out parameters, but just simple parameters in update method. When from the main method you will create the object of this without refout class object, and then we'll call this update method with normal parameters a and b. Then these parameters are passed by value. Remember, passed by value, not by reference. Meaning the parameters here have a different address in memory, and the parameters which will receive the value, which are c and d, have a different address. So this a which is passed and this c which is receiving the value have different address in the memory. So they are not related. Their value is same, but their address is different. So this is without ref and out. Now let's see what is with ref and out. So this is the code example. Here we are using the classes with ref and out, and we are using out and ref in the parameters. So when the object is created, this q is the object created, right? And we are passing this out parameter and this ref parameter. Then the address of this variable a and the address of this variable c will remain same because they are out parameters. And same goes with the ref parameters also. So the address of variable b and the address of variable d will be same because these are ref parameters. So this is the reference when we say passing the parameters by reference. So this is the meaning. So they maintain the relation. Now let's come to the main question. What is the difference between out and ref parameters? So let's see one by one. First difference is in case of out parameters. So this a, if you can see here, it is a out parameter. So the first difference is no need to initialize out parameter before passing it. So we are not setting any value for the out parameter. It is not necessary. You can set, but you can leave it. You can just declare it also. So no need. So this is about the ref parameter. But you must initialize ref parameter. Otherwise you will see an error. So if you will just declare this b integer which is passed like ref parameter, if you will just declare it, then it will throw a compiled error. So you must set some value for this b. So this is the first difference. The second difference is out parameter must be initialized before returning. So okay, we will receive this out parameter in this c variable, and then we have to initialize it to c. I mean, we have to set some value for this c value because it's a out parameter. But in case of this ref parameter, if even we will not initialize any value in it, still there is no problem and it will return properly. But if you will not initialize c, which is the out parameter, then it will throw an error. So this is the second difference. In short, we can say that out parameter is to assign a new value, and ref parameter is to modify a value, modify an existing value. So this is the use of this out and ref parameter. Let me show you the same thing in the Visual Studio Code also. So this is the console application, and you can see the same example here. We have this with ref out class here, and we are creating the object of it, and then we are calling this update method. Now this a variable is the out parameter, and we have not assigned any value of it, and that is completely okay. If you can assign, that is also okay, but if you will not assign, that is also okay. But in case of ref parameter, it must be assigned, or I can say it must be initialized. If I will not assign it this ref any value, then it will throw an error, compile time error, which will be like use of unassigned local variable b. So that is mandatory, okay, for ref parameter to assign a value before passing it to the method. The second thing was, while returning, if you will not initialize the out parameter, then it will throw an error. So let me show you. If I will do like this. If I will not assign any value to this out parameter C, then it will throw an error. The out parameter C must be assigned to before control leaves the current method. So this is the second difference. And here you can see we have not assigned any value for the ref parameter, but if you want to do that is okay. You can do it, there is no problem. But even if you don't assign it, even then it is no problem. So this is the answer of this question, the differences and the definition of the reference. I hope you liked it. And if you have any questions about this question, then please let me know about your query in the comment section, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is the question we have. What is the purpose of params keyword? Let's start with the definition. Params keyword is used as a parameter which can take the variable number of arguments. When I say variable number of arguments means any number of arguments. Now let's see a code example. Here you can see inside the main method, we are calling this add method where we are passing multiple parameters, and in the definition of this add method, we are receiving those parameters value in an array by using this param keyword. And then by using this for each loop, we are iterating those parameters received one by one. So that is the purpose of params keyword. Right now we have these 4 parameters, so we can increase the number of parameters here. When it is useful when programmer do not have any prior knowledge about the number of parameters to be passed in the method, or I can say to be used in the method. So let me show you the same thing in the code also. See, here is a simple console application with a main method and this static add method. Now inside this add method we have right now 4 parameters, but might be you want to increase the number of parameters and you can increase it to 6 parameters. Still it will not give you any error. See, it will accept 6 parameters also, and this, as per the logic, it will just add this 6 parameters and will return the total. So this is the use of the params keyword. I hope you understand it now. Now this is a very good question and it will be a long question also. What is a constructor and what are its types? I tried to make it as simple as possible so that you can speak confidently in the front of the interviewer. So let's start with the definition. Constructor is a special method of the class that is automatically invoked when an instance of the class is created. So whenever you will create a class and then you will create the object of that class, then this constructor method will be automatically called. You need not to call it explicitly. The name of the constructor must be same as of the class name. So that is one thing. And the interesting thing about it is, if the name will not be the same, then it is hard to identify it from the other methods. So the name is same. Why? Because there is a reason. If you will put a new name for the constructor, then it will be like the other methods only. That's why C# has mandated it that the constructor name will be same as that of the class. Now the next part is, what are its types? So we have these types of constructors in C#: default constructor, parameterized constructor, copy constructor, static constructor, and private constructor. So we will discuss them one by one and in detail. Let's start with the first type of constructor, which is default constructor. A default constructor without any parameter is a constructor without any parameters is a default constructor. So this is the simplest one. There is no parameter in the constructor, then it's the default one. Let me show you the code. So see, here we have a class default constructor, and inside this default constructor class we have this constructor which don't have any parameters, and the name is also same as of the class name. And now inside the main method, when we will create the object of this class, so this will automatically call this default constructor. And if you will see the output, then you will see the output as default constructor invoked. Let me show you in the code also. So this is the same code which have this default instructor class and this default constructor inside it. So now I will run it and see, just by creating the object of this class, this constructor is invoked. Let me show you. See, here is the output, default constructor invoked. So this is the first and the simplest type of constructor. So now let's move to the next type of constructor, which is parameterized constructor. So let's see what is the definition. Parameterized constructor. A constructor with at least one parameter is a parameterized constructor. So let me show you the code. See here in the constructor, we have this class paraconstructor, and inside the constructor, we have this one x variable which is of type integer. So whenever you will create the object of this paraconstructor class, then you must have to pass a variable of type integer. So that is the parameterized constructor. Now, what will be the output of this program? This will be the output of this program: parameter, paraconstructor, numbers, and the variable which is passed is 100. Let me show you the code also. See, this console application have this main method and this paraconstructor, and we have passed this and this 100. If you will not pass this variable, then it will not accept this, and it will show an error that there is no argument given that the corresponds required a parameter x, blah blah blah. So basically, if the constructor have this parameter, then you must have to pass the parameters here also. And let me run this to show you the output. See, as I said, this is the output, and I hope now you are clear about the parameterized constructor also. Now let's move to the next type of constructor, which is static constructor. We will discuss copy constructor at the end because it is quite complex as comparison to other constructors. So what is a static constructor? Let's see the definition first. Static constructor is used to be called before any static member of a class is called. So what is this? Let me show you the code first. So if you can see, here we have this class static constructor. Now inside this class we have this print method, which is a static method, right? Now in the main method we will call this static print method like this, because object creation is not required when a method is static. So we will directly call this method like this. Now whenever you will call any static method, then before running the statement inside the static method, the static constructor will execute. So you have not called any static constructor from here, but it will automatically execute, and this will be the output. See, static constructor invoked and then static print method called. So first this will be executed and then this will be executed. So that is the static constructor. It will be executed before any static member of the class will be called. So this is the static constructor. Let me show you the same thing in the code also, in the Visual Studio I mean. See, here is the code where we have main method and the static constructor class. Now I just called this print method directly without creating the object, because it is the static method. Now when I will run it, it will first execute the static constructor and then only it will execute the static method. See, here is the output. First the code inside the static constructor and then the statement inside the static method is called. So I hope this static constructor is clear to you now. Now next type of constructor is private constructor. What is private constructor? When a constructor is created with a private specifier, It is not possible for the other classes to derive from this class, neither it is possible to create an instance of this class. So when you will create a constructor, private constructor with a private specifier, then the object creation of this private constructor class is not possible, and even it cannot be inherited in any derived class. So if you will try to create the object like this, then it will show an compile time error that it is not possible. And if you will try to inherit from it, then it will show an error, compile time error, that this is also not possible. So this is the private constructor, but then if it is not creating the object and even not letting the class to be inherited, then what is the purpose of this private constructor? So the purpose of this private constructor is basically to if you have heard about the singleton design pattern, so that is the purpose. In the design questions, I will show in detail how this private constructor is useful in the singleton design pattern. But for not now, we can just understand that this is the private constructor, which object is not created, neither it can be inherited. At the end, we will discuss this copy constructor. I rarely used this constructor, and I never asked any interviews about this constructor. But let's see how it is. The constructor. Let's see the definition first. The constructor which creates an object by copying variables from another object is called a copy constructor. So let me show you the code also. See, I think it's a big code, so let's break it up and try to understand this. See, here we have a class copy constructor, right? Now inside this we have two constructors. One is parameterized constructor because it have a parameter inside it, this string name, and the another one is the copy constructor. Now what is this copy constructor? This copy constructor is basically this one also only. So let me show you how it will work. So when we will create the object of this copy constructor class and we will pass the parameter inside it, then the first constructor will be invoked and the things you will get in this copy constructor. Now we will again create the instance, which will be a different instance, and here we will pass this copy constructor as a parameter, which is basically copied from the first instance. Now in this side, this we will assign the value and the output will be like this, output name happy. It is slightly difficult to understand, but I will try to explain it in detail separately. But yeah, it is rarely used, but the concept is that it will copy the details of the one constructor and use it in the other constructor for doing some operations. So here we will finish about all the constructors, and if you have any questions about this question, then please let me know in the comment section and I will be happy to answer those questions. Here is a short question, and that is when to use private constructor. Although I have already answered it in the previous video where I have discussed about constructor in detail, but let's see the answer again. Private constructor is a special instance constructor which is used in a class that contains only and only static members. So this is one use. Okay, see the example code here. Only static method are there in the class, then private constructor will make sense because it will not allow the object creation of this employee class, and it will also not allow this employee class to be inherited in any derived class. So there is only one purpose, and that you can directly call the methods of this class, and that methods should be static. So at that point of time, you can make the constructor as private. So this is one use of the constructor, and in real life time, we mostly use this private constructor in singleton design pattern. This pattern I will cover in detail in design pattern section. The question on this pattern, right now, just know that it is used, the private constructor is used in singleton design pattern. Now, if you have any query on this question, then please let me know in the comment section. Now, here is a very important question which is asked in many interviews. What are extension methods in C#? When to use them? Let's start with the definition. Extension method allows you to add new methods in the existing class without modifying the source code of the original class. Okay, that is the definition, but let's see the code example to make it more clear. Here you can see a string test, which value is hello world. Now you know string is a class provided by .NET framework and has his own methods like substring, which will get a string from the left position. In this case, the value will be hello. Now suppose in our application at multiple places we need a method which will get the string from the rightmost position. So for example, if we will pass 5, then it will count the numbers from the last and it will get the result as world, the rightmost 5 characters. So we need this kind of method. So for this, what we will do is we will create a write substring method. Now we know that there is no such method already present in the string class, right? We don't have such write substring method. And we don't have the code of the string class also. Because otherwise we can add that method inside the class itself, but that is not possible in this case. So what we will do, how we will create this write substring method? So the answer is with the help of the extension method. So write substring method is not present in string class, but we can add it by using the extension method. So let me show you what will be the structure of the extension method. See, we will create a static class string extension and will define a write substring method inside it. This method will get the string hello world in its parameter and one another parameter for the count, which is 5 here, which is passed from here, which is 5 here. Okay. I am not going to explain the logic what we are doing here, because the purpose is to understand the extension method, not the substring logic. So that's it. You have added a new method in the string class without even modifying the string class. So basically you have added a new class and inside that you have added a new method, but that is referring to the string class only. Now if you run this project or run this code, then the output will be hello world. Why? Because the variable left value is hello, which we will get it from here, and the right value we'll get is world. So the output will be hello world. Now few more important things about extension method. First of all, extension method must be static method. Why? Because this will be directly called from the class name. So if you see, we did test dot write substring. So for static method, you always call like this. There is no need of object creation. So this is one thing. And the class is also static because it will contain only static methods only. So that's why we make the class as static also. Second important thing is we will use this keyword here to it is used to for binding this method with this string class. So this keyword is used to bind this write substring method for the string class only. So this is the purpose of this keyword. So if you are creating the extension method of some other class, then you must give the name of that class along with this keyword. So if there is any, like for example, there is some custom class you have which name is string B, then you have to mention here string B class name. Okay. Now let me show you the same thing in the Visual Studio Code. So here is the same console application in the Visual Studio. Here is the substring, here is the write substring, which we have created via this extension method. If I will delete it, then this write substring is not present in the string class and it will show the compile time error. So I will create it. Okay. Now when I will run it, the output will be left space right, which is left is hello and right is world. So this is the output. So this is all about the extension method. If you have any question about this extension method question, then please let me know in the comment section and I will try to reply as soon as possible. Here is a very important question from interview perspective. What do you mean by delegate and when to use them? Before that, I have to tell you something. The purpose of my interview videos is to give you a short and simple answer so that you can give the same to the interviewer and will clear the interview. Therefore, my answers are short and do not involve lots of coding. So keeping that in mind, let's start with the definition of the delegate. So a delegate is a variable that holds the reference to a function or method, or it's a pointer to a function. So both these statements are same. Reference to a method and pointers to a function. You can use any one of them in front of the interviewer. Now let's try to understand with the help of the code. See, here inside the program class, we have two static methods. One is add, which is basically adding two integers and displaying them in the console window. And the second method is mul, which is basically multiplying the two integers. Now, if you notice the parameters, there are two parameters and the type of parameters are both same in both these methods. And the return type is also same. So one thing we can do is we can group them together and then use it. So that how we will do, we will take the help of the delegate. So now this, like this, we can declare a delegate calculator over them. So see, you have this add method, multiply method, and we can use a calculator delegate, which is, you can also say, wrapper over them, which any client can use. So you can see the number of parameters and the return type of the this delegate is very much similar to the number of parameters of the add and multiply method and the return type of the methods. So this must be same, otherwise a delegate will not refer the method which do not have same signatures as of the delegate. From this we can conclude that a delegate can refer to more than one methods of same return type and parameters, or we can say same signature. So this is the first thing. Now how we can consume this delegate? That is, inside the main method we can instantiate this calculate delegator like you instantiate a class. So we can, this calc we can use as an object. So this is the instance of this delegate, and here while instantiating you can pass the method as the parameter. So this is a very important thing. While using the delegates, you can pass the method as a parameter inside the delegate, and then you can call the parameters values a and b to invoke the delegate. So this is how a delegate can be used in your client's program. So this is if the interviewer will ask you when to use the delegate, what is the requirement to. So the very short answer is when we need to pass a method as a parameter. There are requirements when we need to pass a method as a parameter. Now if I will go in detail, then that will be a like 10 to 20 minutes long video, because it is not that simple. We have to use the reflection also, because so that is a long story, but the short answer is when we need to pass a method as a parameter, then we need delegate. So this is what is delegate, how to use delegate, and when to use delegate. Now let me show you the same thing in the code. So this is the delegate we were referring to. Here we have two methods. Here we have declared the delegate, and here we are consuming the delegate. So the output expected is we are passing 20 and 30, which will be plus will operation. It will show this output. So let me show you the same in the output screen. So see, the expected output is 50, the sum of 20 and 30. So this is the answer of this question. I hope you understand the concept of delegate now. If you have any queries, then please let me know. I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is one more important question about delegates. The question is, what are multicast delegates? Now this is a next level question of delegates. If you have seen my video about delegates, then it's easy to understand. If you have not seen, then don't worry, I will quickly explain you the delegates here. So what is delegate? A delegate is a variable that holds the reference to a method, or you can say it's a pointer to a function. Now in the code, we can see we have two methods, add and multiply, which have same signatures. Now we can declare a wrapper over them, or you can say it will be a delegate, which we are declaring here over them like this. Now, in order to consume or in order to use that delegate, we can create the instance of that delegate like this here. That calculator delegate, we have created the instance, and then we have the pass the method as the parameter inside the delegate. That's how we use the delegate. And at the end, we can put the parameter values, which are basically a and b, in order to invoke this add method of the delegate. So this is all about the delegate, and here we will see the output, which is 50, which is basically 20 plus 30. So 20, 30 we are passing from here, and then it is displaying in the output window in 20 plus 30, which is 50 here. So that's all about the delegate. Now coming back to the main question, what is multicast delegate? Let's see the definition first. A multicast delegate is a delegate that holds the reference of more than one function. Now that is very much important, more than one function. Now some years back, I was also confused that normal delegates also referencing to more than one methods. Like here, this calculate delegate is referencing this add, this multiply, and many methods like this it can do, right? And now we are saying that multicast delegate is also holding reference of more than one function. Then what is the difference? So now let me tell you what is the difference. See, here is the code of multicast delegate. Now here all the code is same. This calculator delegate is same. This add method, multiply method is same as of this delegate. And the invoking of the delegate is also same. So what is the difference means? See, this calculator plus equal to multiply. So this is the just one extra line which is different from the normal delegate. And what does it mean? What this line mean? It means after calling the add method, the delegate will immediately call the mul method also. So it will call both these methods one by one. It will call first add method and then it will call mul method also. So that is like chaining of delegates, you can say. So if you see anywhere this plus equal to sign in your code, that then you can think that it might be a multicast delegate thing. So see, if we see what will be the output will be, we are passing this 20 and 30. So the output will be the addition first, which is 50. And then we are calling the multiply method. So the next output will be 600, which is basically 20 into 30 is 600. Now let me show you the same thing in the code also. So see, here is the code of the multicast delegate. This is the console application. We have the main method here and the program class and the calculator delegate. All the things are same as of the normal delegates. The only different thing is this line, which is basically adding one more method. Now let me execute this. And the output will show you that how this multicast delegate is calling methods one by one. So see here in the output window, first it will print 50 from this add method, and then it will print 600 from this mul method. So this is multicast delegate, which is basically chaining or referencing more than one method. So that is the answer of this multicast method. If you have any query, any confusion about this question, then please post in the comment section and then I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is one more question about delegates. The question is, what are anonymous delegates in C#? See the definition here. In anonymous delegates, you can create a delegate, but there is no need to declare the method associated with it. So there will be no concrete method in the case of the anonymous method. What does it mean? Now see, here is a normal delegate. This is a normal delegate, not an anonymous delegate. We have methods here like this, add, mul, and then we are referencing this method in this delegate, which is calculator, and then we are passing the method as a parameter in calculate delegate. So that is normal delegate. Now here is the anonymous delegate. See the code. Do you see any methods or function here in the program? So this is the main method, and there is no such method like add, delete, multiply, but still there is a delegate here. We have declared this calculator with 2 parameters and one return type, which is void. So how it is, basically the logic of the method is there, but it is not named. It is like anonymous method. So logic of add method is written in line inside this call. So here we have with the help of this delegate keyword, we have given this parameters here, and inside here we have written the the inline method. And since there is no return type, so the default return type will be void. So the code between two braces will be the logic for the method which is anonymous, and there is no need to assign it any name. So the conclusion is, unlike normal delegate where there is a method like add or multiply, in the anonymous delegate there is no such method. All the logic is written in inline, and that is what is we called as anonymous method. It is good if you have one or two methods in for your delegate, but for multiple methods it's not a good approach. This is one more question from delegates topic. What are the differences between events and delegates? Let me tell you the basic differences which you can tell to the interviewer. First, what is delegate? A delegate is a variable that holds the reference to a method, or you can say it's a pointer to a function. I already explained delegate in my previous videos, so you can look at them to understand delegates in detail. Now, what is event? The event is a notification mechanism that depends on delegates. So event is like a notification. So if you know that button click event, that drop down event, so those are the events, and it basically they are notifying whenever you will click on a button. That is a notification that button has been clicked. So it's a kind of notification, like sending mail is a notification, right? It's an event. Now let me show you in the diagram. See here, delegate depends on the functions, and similarly event is depends on the delegates. So that is the relationship between function, delegates, and events. Now with that said, an event is dependent on a delegate and cannot be created without delegates. As I said, event are nothing without the delegates. So the same thing I have written here, and you can tell to the interviewer. Another thing is, event is like a wrapper over the delegate to improve its security. So based on the same concept that event is dependent on delegate, now why we create event? We have delegates, then why we create events? To improve the security. Now how it improves the security? So if you have ever worked in ASP.NET Web Forms or WinForms, then you know those button click events, right? Now actually on that button click events, several functions were called by the .NET framework in the background with the help of the multicast delegates. Okay, but you are not aware of all those functions and what is going in the background. And you can also cannot modify whether they are delegates or functions in the background. So basically what that button click event has provided you is a layer that you should work only with this button click event. And what is happening in the background, you are not able to touch it in any manner. So that is a security. So you can also create such custom delegates and functions which can be called via the event, which will be abstraction, like the background details are hidden. So that is the purpose of the events, to provide a security, a wrapper to the delegates or the inside functions. So that is the difference between events and delegates. I hope the answer of this question is clear to you. And if you have any queries about this question, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will try to answer this as soon as possible. Now we will cover some important keyword questions in OOPS and C#. This is the list of questions which we will cover, like this keyword, using keyword, is and as keyword, read only, constant, static, where, dynamic, enum. These keywords we will cover. The approx duration of all these questions will be around 25 minutes. So let's start with the first question. This is a good question from interview perspective. What is this keyword in C# and when to use it? Let's start with the definition. This keyword is used to refer the current instance of the class. Now what does it mean? Let me show you the code. Suppose you have a student class like this. Okay, this class have two fields, ID and name, right? Now this class have a parameterized constructor also, like this. Now what is parameterized constructor? That I have already explained in the constructor question. So if you want to understand that, then you can watch that question. So now this parameterized constructor will accept two parameters. One is ID and one is name. Now these parameters ID and name are different from these fields ID and name. They are completely different. Okay. Now the second thing is, we also have a method here in this class, and that is getStudent, which is just printing this ID and name in the console application, in the console window. Okay. Now we want to use this student class. So how we will create the object of this class in some other class. So like this, here you can see we are creating the object of the student class std1, and then we are passing these two parameters here, because this class have a parameterized constructor, not a default constructor. That's why we must have to pass these two values. These values will be assigned to these parameters, and these parameters then will pass these values to inside the method. Now how we will recognize that how this fields and these parameters are different, because the name is same. Now here we will use the this keyword to create the difference. We will use the this keyword with the fields, because these fields are the members of the class, and so that's why we can refer them by using the this keywords. So that is the purpose of the this keyword. So this ID, so in short, this dot ID and this dot name will refer to the fields, and without this keyword it will refer to the parameters. So just ID and name will be the parameters. Now let me show you the same thing in the code, but before that we can say this keywords avoids the naming confusion between class fields and constructor parameters. This can be one use of this keyword. Now let me show you the same thing in the code. So see, here we have the same code, the same student class, the fields, the constructor with the parameters. So if I will not use this keyword here, okay, now I will do this, because I have to set the field value with the parameter value. But is it possible? So it is not possible. Assignment made to same variable. Did you mean to assign it to something else? So this doesn't make any sense, like we are assigning parameter to the parameter. So in order to assign the parameter to the field, we have to use this keyword. So that is the answer of this question. If you have any queries about this question, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. This is a very good question from interview perspective. This has been asked in many interviews. What is the purpose of using keyword in C sharp? Now, in order to give an smart answer, you have to give two purpose of using keyword in C sharp. So two purpose. And the first one is very easy, and that is using directive. Here we are using this using keyword. So this is the first purpose, but mostly interviewers are interested in the second purpose, which is using statement. Now, what is using statement? Using statement ensures that dispose method of the class object is called even if an exception occurs. So it will make sure that the class dispose object will be called in any condition. Now, before giving an example, I will give the example of database connection. Why? Because practically mostly this using statement is used in closing database connection. So let's see the example now. See the code here. Here we are creating database connection without using statements, right? So we have opened the database connection, and after doing all the necessary steps, we are going to dispose this database connection because that is no more required. And if we will not dispose it, then it's not okay, and it will impact the performance, but it will still occupy some memory. So this is without the using keyword, right? Now let's see how we will do this with the help of using keyword. Before that, yes, we can dispose this in finally also, to make sure that this dispose condition must run in any case. That is also one way to make sure, but the other way is using keyword. So now let's see how we will use using keyword. See, this is the same thing. The logic is same. We are creating the database connection here, and all the steps inside are same. But here we do not require this dispose method to be called explicitly. That's why we have commented it. So that is the purpose of the using statement. This using keyword will automatically call this dispose method of this managed class. Now remember that you cannot use this using keyword with any class. You can use this using keyword only with those class which are managed, and those class must implement iDisposable interface in .NET. Now what does it mean? Now let me show you. This is the SQL connection class, right? Now we will see in the Visual Studio Code how it is implementing iDisposable interface. See, here we are using the same code, and inside this we have this SQL connection class, and we are calling this dispose method automatically. We need not to write this line of code if we are using using statement. So how it is calling iDisposable interface? Let's see the definition of this method. Go to definition, and here you see this .NET framework provided class and it's all methods. Now this SQL connection is inherited from this DB connection class. Now what is inside this DB connection? And if we will go, and we will see that it is implementing the iDisposable interface. That means this DB connection is implementing iDisposable, so the SQL connection will also implement this iDisposable. So that is a managed class. So that is the important thing about the using statement. It will not work with any class. It will work with only those class which will implement iDisposable interface. So that is about this question. If you have any queries about this question, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. Here is the question. What is the difference between is and as operator? This is not at all a good question. Actually, there is no relationship between these keywords except their name is similar, is and as. But conceptually, there is no difference. I mean, there is no similarity. But I don't know why some interviewers ask this question. But let's explore the answer of this question. So first of all, we will talk about is operator. The is operator is used to check the type of an object. Let me show you the code. So here you can see we have an integer type I. Now in the next line, what we are trying to do is this check variable is checking whether this I is a type of integer or not. So this check will be either true or false. So this is the thing what is operator does. It is pretty straightforward. Whether any object is type of any class or not, that will be checked by the is operator. So it will always return true or false because either it is the type of that class or not. So here like I is integer and we know yes, that is right. So what it will output? The output will be true. So that is the purpose of the is operator. Now we will see what is as operator. As operator is used to perform conversion between compatible reference types. So again, let's see the code. See, here is object obj is assigned a value hello, right? Now we want to store this hello in a string. And when we want to store this in a string, then we have to convert this obj to a string, which will done by as operator. So here obj as a string, obj will be converted to a string, and the conversion is happening now. And why I said that between compatible reference type, because obj and strings are compatible reference type. You cannot store integer into a string because they are not compatible types. You can store obj in a string, so the type should be compatible, but more importantly the as operator do the conversion of the type. So that is the purpose of uh, as operator. Now second difference you can say, which is again I already explained, that the is operator is of boolean type, meaning it will always return either true or false, nothing else. Now whereas as operator is not of boolean type, because it will convert one type into another type. Now let me show you quickly in the code also the output of these two. See, here we have the is operator case where I is converted to int, so this will be true. And here we are converting this object into a string, and then we are trying to print this string. So this string will be hello then. So the output expected is true and hello. Let's see. See, in the output screen we have the expected output true and hello. So this is the answer of this question. I hope you understand it. If you have any doubts about this question, then please write in the comment section and I will try to answer as soon as possible. Here is a very important question, so listen it carefully. What is the difference between read-only and constant? At least three differences. Why I am asking three differences? Because sometimes candidates think that knowing one difference is enough, but it is not. To impress the interviewer, you have to tell as much as you know. So you know my way, that I will first show the code and then I will tell the differences based on the code. So here is the code of read-only keyword. See, here we have two read-only fields. One is my read-only one and second one is my read-only two. By using read-only fields, the first difference is we can assign values of read-only fields both in declaration and in constructor part. So if in the code you can see we have this my read-only field assigned the value 100 in the declaration part, and the second value which is my read-only 2, it has been not been assigned here, rather it has been assigned inside the constructor. Because when you will create the object of this example class like this, then there might be you will use the parameterized constructor here. I hope you are aware about parameterized constructor. In short, when you will pass the some parameter in the constructor, then it is parameterized. So it will, this 20 will go here in the b value, and then you are setting this read-only field with the help of this b based on the value of the b. So that is the first and the most important difference, that you can assign the value of the read-only fields in the declaration and the constructor. Okay, now let's see the constant code. See here we have this constant keyword program. We have this myConst equal to 10. Then this second variable is there, which is giving some error. And again, we are trying to provide this second variable some or the first variable inside the constructor. And again, it is giving some error. So the difference is using const fields, we can assign values in declaration part only, not in the constructor part. So this is the first difference between read only and the constant, that one can be assigned the value in declaration and constructor, and other can be only assigned the value in the declaration part. This is the first difference. Now the second difference is the value of read only field can be changed, but the value of const field cannot be changed. So as I said, we can change the value of the read only field in the constructor part. That is very much true, but we cannot change the value of constant. So by that I mean that if you will try to reassign some value to this myConst, then that is not possible, because it will be assigned a value at one time, and that is in the declaration only. So that is the second difference. The third difference is read-only fields can be created by using read-only keyword. That is quite obvious. You can see we have these read-only keywords here, and the constant fields are created by using const keywords. This is the simpler difference, and this can add one more difference to your knowledge, because many a times people know it but they don't tell it to the interviewer. So you have to tell these kind of differences also. And the last one is read only is a runtime constant and constant is a compile time constant. Let me give you a very short reason of this. Because while compiling or building the program, the compiler knows and can confirm the value of a constant field, that it is 10. But since read only field can be manipulated inside the constructor at the runtime, that's why it's a runtime constant. So confirming the value of read only is not possible for compiler at compile time. So this is the fourth difference. So these are the four differences. I know you now you can choose any of three. You can tell any of two differences in the interview, and that will create a good impression. Now let me show you the same thing in the code very quickly. So see, here we will first discuss about this read only equal to 100, and that has been assigned a value inside the constructor, and that is very much possible. Okay, now we have this constant field here. Okay, now if we will try to assign this constant any value inside the constructor, then see, it will give an error. The left hand side of assignment must be a variable, property or index. So it is not possible here. Even it is not possible here also. So this is also not possible. It will be only assigned only once. So these are the differences, and this is the answer of this question. I hope you got it now. And if you have any query about this question, then let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. What is a static class? When to use it? Let's explore the answer. First of all, the definition. A static class is a class which object cannot be created and which cannot be inherited also. Now, if it object cannot be created and if it cannot be inherited, then what is the use of this static class? That is an important thing. Let me show you the code here. So, okay, here is a static class. Now, you cannot create object of this my college class, and you cannot inherit this class. Like this cannot be the base class of any other class. So if we are restricting everything, then what is the purpose? Again, the same thing. So the answer is static classes are used as containers for static members like methods, constructors, and others. So if you will see this class, this code carefully, then you can see that every member of this class, like these fields are static, then this constructor is static, and then this method is also static. So everything is static. So a static class can be used to create a wrapper over them. Why we need a wrapper? Because if all the methods and members of this class are static, then we don't want that any developer should try to create the object of this class or should try to inherit it. For that purpose, we make this class as a static. So that is the only purpose, that it will be like acts like a container for all the static methods, constructors, and other members. Now, let me show you in the code also how this works. Now, this is the same class. Here you can see the my college static class and all the members are static here. Okay. Now, suppose I will try to remove this static and I will try to make this member method as non-static. Then see the error here. Cannot declare instance members in a static class. Because what is the purpose of this method then? That it's somebody will inherit and then will call this method, or somebody will create the object of this class and then will call this method. But if the class is static, the my college class is static, then both of these are not possible. So that's why this method has no purpose now. So that's why now we will make it static, as the my college static class will be the container of all the static members. So I hope you understand the answer now. And if you have any queries on this question, then let me know in the comment section. Here is a question about the variables. What is the difference between var and dynamic keywords in C#? Let's start with the var keyword. If you will declare a var variable, then type of the variable is decided by the compiler at compile time. So this is the var keyword. Now let's try to understand with the help of the code. See this code, var a equal to 10, and then we are trying to assign a string to this variable a, right here. But here it is giving the error. This is the compile time error because compiler is giving it, or you can say it's a build time error. Because a is the type of an integer, and now you are trying to assign this integer a string value, which cannot be done, like which is not possible. So this is the var keyword. Now let's see what happens if you will replace it with the dynamic. So first of all, the definition, the type of the variable is decided at runtime. So in the var variable, the type of the variable is decided at compile time. In dynamic, it is runtime. This is the main difference. Now here is the code of the dynamic keyword. See, here you have assigned the variable b a value 10. Now you have tried to assign the a string to b. So is it possible? Yes, it is very much possible, because at the compile time it will check the CLR will check the latest type of this variable b, and that latest type will be the string. So it will mark this string as the type of the b. So this is the dynamic keyword, because it is going to be checked at the runtime. Let me show you the same thing in the code also. See, this is the same code. Here is the var variable, and here is the dynamic keyword we have used. Now this var is assigned at 10. Now if we will try to assign a string to it, it will give an compile time error, cannot implicitly convert type string to int. But in case of dynamic, it will not give any error, and it will accept the variable value to this string value and the type of the variable as string type at runtime. We will run the program, and now this dynamic keyword value will be checked. See, the output value is happy, which is the string. So that is the answer, and that is the difference between these two keywords. I hope you understand it. If you have any questions about this question, then let me know in the comment section, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. What is enum keyword used for? Let's see the definition first. An enum is a special class that represent a group of constants. So that is the definition. Let's see the code here. You have a list of constraints, or I can say you have you have the list of the constants which are of similar category. So if you can see, you can identify this level. This can be low, medium, and high. So this is a grouping. So it's like a group of constants. Now, in order to define such constants and in order to group them, you can use this enum keyword here, right here. Now, how you will access these values? Like this. level is the enum, and then variable, any variable level dot medium. So this will give it a one value, because the first will be 0, the medium will be 1, the 2 will be the last one will be 2. So this will help you to read and write this enum values. Now, as I said, it will be the numbering which will happen from 0. It will start and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the next example of the same enum grouping you can take as of the weekdays, where Sunday will be 0, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you will make these kind of enums in your application, then it is easy to define the weekdays, level, months, years, so that kind of constants which are of similar category, and then you can easily access them throughout your application. So that is the purpose of the constants, and that is the answer of this question. If you reached here, that means you are doing your best for preparing for the interviews. Once again, I wish you all the best for your interview preparation. If you like the video, then please press like, subscribe and bell icon, which will motivate me to create more videos on .NET interviews. Thank you so much for watching.